You can't let her touch the will, Maya whispered. Marcus Bennett stopped in his tracks, his hand tightening around the briefcase he'd nearly forgotten he was holding. The early sunlight spilling across the polished floor felt suddenly cold, the air in the hallway somehow heavier than a second ago. He turned to look at Maya Small, stubborn Maya in her too big school sweatshirt and tangled curls, standing just beyond the reach of the morning. "What did you say?" he managed, sharper than he meant. She didn't flinch. "Miss Sabrina. She opened your safe last night. I saw her. She took pictures of the will." Marcus wanted to laugh, to wave it off as some leftover dream, but the look on Maya's face, the way her dark eyes didn't blink, made it impossible. "You shouldn't say things like that," he said, softer, pleading almost. "But I saw her," Maya insisted, her voice steady, and suddenly he was angry, really angry, because this house was built on grief and second chances, and the last thing he needed was a child's wild story threatening to tip it over. "Enough, Maya." His voice echoed in the hallway. She stepped back, hurt flickering across her face, but she held his gaze. "I'm not lying," she said, voice barely above a whisper. And that was the thing. Marcus believed her for a heartbeat, then shut it down. "Sabrina has done nothing but care for us." Maya shook her head. "She doesn't like me." "She's trying," he snapped, "and maybe you should too." Silence stretched between them, then she murmured something he couldn't catch. "What was that?" he barked, turning back. "I said I'm trying, Dad." The word hit him harder than he wanted to admit. For 2 years, since Clara died, Maya had never called him that. Always Marcus. Always distant. Now, as he stood there feeling like the worst sort of fool, he watched her shoulders slump as she disappeared down the hallway. He spent the day in meetings, his mind half present, his chest tight with guilt and something like fear. That night, after Sabrina left for her evening yoga class, Marcus found himself alone in the study. He stared at the safe, her safe, now until he finally opened it. The will was there, untouched, but the envelope felt wrong in his hands, the paper inside just a little too crisp, the ink a little too bold. Maybe it was nothing. Or maybe, just maybe, Maya had seen something he'd been too tired, too trusting to notice. Sabrina returned, glowing from her class, her movements easy and soft as she poured them both a drink. But now Marcus watched her, really watched her, the way she lingered in the study, how she straightened stacks of paper that didn't need straightening, how her questions about his estate had grown more pointed lately. She kissed his cheek, but for the first time, he wondered if he really knew the woman beside him. That single word echoed in his mind as he lay awake, watching shadows drift across the ceiling. The next morning, he sat in the sunroom with cold coffee, listening to the birds outside and the silence inside. Maya's voice wouldn't leave him. "I'm trying, Dad." Sabrina breezed in, all silk robe and gentle concern. "Rough night?" she asked, not really waiting for an answer. He nodded. "Yeah." "Maya had a bad dream." "She's still having those?" Sabrina asked, her voice too light. Marcus hesitated, watching her stir her tea with practiced grace. "She said she saw you in the study last night." Sabrina paused just a beat, then smiled. "She must have dreamed it. You know how kids get, especially after losing their mother." Maybe, Marcus thought, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the dream wasn't a dream. Sabrina's words, her smile, it was all just a little too perfect. He excused himself, the knot in his chest growing tighter. He checked the will again, then rummaged through Clara's old files. That's when he found Ida's previous draft of the will, handwritten in Clara's careful script, the final paragraph naming Maya's sole beneficiary. The version in the safe split control between Maya and any future spouse. Marcus's stomach dropped. Clara never would have added that. Never. That night, Marcus picked Maya up from school himself. She looked surprised. She usually rode home with the driver. They went for tacos, sitting in a quiet booth, the silence heavy. "Hey," he said, "I owe you an apology. I looked at the will. You were right. Someone changed it." Maya didn't look up, but he saw her hand tighten around her lemonade. "So you believe me now?" she whispered. "I do. And you were really brave to tell me." Maya reached into her backpack and pulled out Clara's old journal. "Mom told me to watch the safe," she said. "She said grief makes people blind." Marcus felt something inside him break and mend at the same time. For the next few days, Marcus kept silent and watched. Sabrina was more attentive than ever, asking about finances, suggesting Maya needed more structure. "You know how kids twist things when they feel threatened by someone new," she said. stirring honey into her tea. Marcus smiled, cataloging every word. He called Louis Carter, Clara's old lawyer, trusted, sharp, and not easily fooled. Louis compared the two wills, nodding grimly. "This is a forgery," he said quietly. "Someone's planning to steal your estate, Marcus." They put together a plan, a small recorder hidden in Maya's hairpin. Sabrina never saw it coming. That evening, Marcus told Sabrina he wanted to update the will for everyone's sake. He handed her a decoy version, full of fake accounts and glaring errors. Sabrina didn't blink. She read through, nodding at references to Cayman accounts they'd never discussed. "Smart move," she said, almost to herself. Louis tapped his tablet. The recorder was working. Then Maya, sitting on the love seat, asked softly, "Miss Sabrina, would you want me to sign something if Daddy ever got hurt?" Sabrina's face went hard for a second, then softened. "Sweetheart, sometimes you have to do what's best, even if you don't want to," Louis signaled. They had enough. Marcus stood. "That's enough." The room froze. Sabrina's mask dropped. "You have no idea what you've ruined," she hissed at Maya. Marcus moved between them. Sirens wailed down the road. Officers filed into the room. "Miss Sabrina Lorne, we have a warrant for your arrest." As the cuffs closed around her wrists, Maya stood at the top of the stairs, Clara's journal clutched in her arms. She wasn't crying. She was stronger than anyone in the room. Marcus knew that his daughter had crossed some invisible threshold. She wasn't just a little girl anymore. She was someone who kept promises, even when adults failed. The days that followed were a blur: interviews, legal filings, media calls. But through it all, Marcus and Maya found something stronger than relief. They found purpose. They turned the study into a library: Clara's books and new ones on law and justice for Maya. Maya started a club for kids, teaching them how to ask questions and protect themselves. Letters poured in. Parents thanked them. Kids sent drawings. The world got a little safer. 3 years later, Maya, now taller, bolder, stood in a packed courtroom, her voice clear as she told her story. "This foundation isn't about me. It's about every kid who sees something wrong and speaks up anyway." The judge's gavel fell. Motion approved. Outside, as cameras flashed, Maya clung to Marcus's hand. Both of them changed, both of them proud. That night, under a quiet Georgia sky, Maya whispered, "Do you think other kids will listen now?" Marcus looked at his daughter, her eyes bright with hope and resolve. "I think they already are. And if you're watching, maybe you've got your own story, your own secret that needs telling. So tell me, what would you have done if you were in Maya's shoes? Do you believe the truth always comes out in the end? Or are there still secrets waiting in the shadows? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it: right and wrong, justice and trust, and the power of a child's voice.